morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News. This is our report on the impact that religion has had on humanity over the last 7 days. Dateline, 4th of February 2023. This week's headlines. 9 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli raid in Jenin. Israel probes the death of a Palestinian who was pepper sprayed and shot. Police were targeted in a suicide attack that killed 59 beside a Pakistan mosque. New York City bike path terror suspect was found guilty of killing 8 people. A man is in court on terror charges conducted at St. James's Hospital in Leeds. Pope Francis is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where 1 million have celebrated a mass in Kinshasa, the capital. A Catholic school counsellor loses her job over crystal gifts. An Iran dancing couple were given a 10-year jail sentence. A South African pastor claims to be able to heal people with his farts. 9 Palestinians have been killed during an Israeli military raid in the occupied West Bank. A woman aged 61 was reported among the dead in the flashpoint town of Jenin. The Israeli military said its troops went in to arrest Islamic Jihad terror operatives who were planning major attacks. The Palestinian presidency accused Israel of a massacre and later announced it had ended coordination with Israel on security matters. A 10th Palestinian was shot and killed during a confrontation with Israeli troops in the town of Al-Ram near Jerusalem as residents protested against the Jenin raid. Israel said it had carried out airstrikes against Palestinian militants in Gaza after 2 rockets were fired into Israel. No group in Gaza has claimed responsibility for the rockets, both of which were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. Tensions have recently risen in the West Bank as the Israeli military continues what it describes as an anti-terrorism offensive that began last year following a series of deadly attacks in Israel. See this video. The Israeli Army's military police unit says it is investigating after a Palestinian driver was shot dead at a temporary checkpoint in the occupied West Bank a week ago. The military initially described Ahmed Kala, who was 45, as a terrorist who had tried to carry out an attack. However, Israeli media said a leaked preliminary report found that the father of 4 was killed unnecessarily. A video showed a scuffle with soldiers before he was fatally shot. "How can I explain to you what I feel psychologically or physically?" said his son. "We were on our way to work together before this happened with the soldiers. Then we were separated, and I only saw my father again when they brought his body to the hospital." At least 59 people have been killed by a suicide bombing that apparently targeted policemen praying in a mosque in Peshawar, Pakistan. Terrorists want to create fear by targeting those who perform the duty of defending Pakistan, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said. The Pakistani Taliban denied involvement after an initial claim by one of its commanders. Between 300 and 400 police officers were in the area at the time, Peshawar Police Chief Mohammed Ijaz Khan told local media. The mosque is in one of the most heavily controlled areas of the city, which includes police headquarters and intelligence and counter-terrorism bureaus. Mr. Sharif said those behind the attack had nothing to do with Islam. He added, "The entire nation is standing united against the menace of terrorism." The blast took place around 8:30 GMT during afternoon prayers. A video circulating on social media, verified by the BBC, shows that half of a wall caved in. People clambered over the rubble to escape. Here's the video. Saipov was found guilty of murder by a federal jury for using a rented truck to fatally strike 8 people in a New York City bike path on Halloween Day in 2017. It's taken all this time to come to justice. Jurors deliberated about 6 hours over 2 days in the case involving the deadliest terrorist attack New York had seen since 9/11. It left 6 foreign tourists and 2 Americans dead. The same jury will determine whether Sarpov is sentenced to life in prison or the death penalty. The trial was the first federal death penalty case heard during the administration of President Joe Biden, who had campaigned against capital punishment at the federal level. Saipov had pleaded not guilty, but he was convicted of counts of murder in aid of racketeering, assault with a dangerous weapon, and attempted murder in aid of racketeering, and provision of material support to ISIS, and violence and destruction of a motor vehicle. In his closing arguments, defense attorney David Patton said that the attack was spurred by religious fervor to please his God and ascend to paradise in his religion. Prosecutors told jurors that Saipov carried out the attack to become a member of the terrorist group. People who ISIS rely upon to conquer territory and kill non-believers, those are its soldiers. Of course they are part of ISIS. That is common sense, prosecutor Amanda Lee Hoole said. An organisation engaged in a worldwide war needs its soldiers, and its soldiers are part of the group. A student nurse was accused of taking a homemade bomb to the Leeds hospital he worked at and has now appeared in court. Mohammed Farouk was said to have the device outside the maternity ward in St James's Hospital on the 20th of January. Mr Farouk appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court accused of preparing a terrorist act. Prosecutors allege Mr Farouk of Hetton Road, Roundhay, Leeds, was found with a pressure cooker bomb outside the ward. They also argue that, inspired by radical Islam, he carried out hostile reconnaissance of an RAF base on the 10th and the 18th of January after carrying out online research. Prosecutors say he chose the target because of online encouragement to carry out a lone wolf attack at the site. Prosecutor Mark Luckett said he allegedly had instructions to assemble a homemade explosive device. He bought equipment and made the bomb, researched the RAF base online, and engaged in reconnaissance of the alleged target. He is also charged with possessing an explosive substance with intent to endanger life or cause serious injury to property. He faces a further count of possessing an imitation firearm with intent to cause fear of violence on the same occasion. Pope Francis has celebrated one of his biggest masses with around 1 million attendees in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa. Huge crowds started to gather well before dawn, including scores of schoolgirls dressed in white who danced along the Pope's route. A public holiday was declared, so as many people as possible could attend. Around half of DR Congo's population is Catholic, the largest Catholic community in Africa. It's more than 37 years since the Pope has visited the mineral-rich but conflict-ridden country. For 2 marketing classes taught at North Catholic High School in the Diocese of Pittsburgh, a college counsellor at the school invited 3 owners of a local store to talk about how they run their small businesses. As part of their visit in December, the store owners offered each student a small crystal. That's because the business, Elemental Magic, sells books, jewelleries, candles, and other items used in various metaphysical practices. The 3 store owners, a married couple Tabitha and Tamara Latshaw, and their sister-in-law Carrie Latshaw, are all Wiccan high priestesses. "We sell crystals," said Tabitha Latshaw. "If we sold gum, we would have handed out a packet of gum." After some students complained to North Catholic administrators, the counsellor, who's not been identified publicly, was questioned, then, in early January, asked to resign. In an interview, Michel Peduto, a diocesan school administrator, explained that educators at diocesan schools are required to sign a statement saying that their instruction will align with Catholic teachings. Both the visit and the crystals were not a good fit, she said. "It is because, as we know, our faith is in Jesus Christ and not in objects necessarily." Peduto said, in a separate interview, "Rosary beads, yes, but crystals, no." See this video.
The now former employee admits that the beliefs of her invited guests run counter to Catholic teaching, but she says her dismissal is not in keeping with the church's message of forgiveness. Were you fired?
I was given the option to resign.
And did you have another option?
No.
You might say it wasn't a match made in heaven, inviting the owners of what some might call an occult store selling stone crystals and skulls to a marketing class of Catholic high schoolers. The former employee, who asked that her identity be hidden, concedes as much. To bring witches into North Catholic High School. Do you think that was an error in judgment on your part?
I should have had more conversation with them specifically about the crystal situation. But again, it didn't ping for me as something that would be such a big issue.
The advisor said she invited these women owners of the store Elemental Magic to discuss the process of starting a small business. But the women also identify as Wiccans, a coven of witches who worship nature. And the advisor was called to task by the school and the diocese after it was learned they gifted the students crystals like these, which the Wiccans believe have special powers.
We would say that this is for increased concentration. So if you need help studying, this is your stone.
I know that the aspect that was brought into our school was not appropriate for our schools.
Michelle Peduto, the diocesan director of Catholic education, said educators in the diocese sign a pledge promising to align their instruction with Catholic teachings, and the crystal and the visit run counter.
I'm not a theologian, but I am a mom, and I am a Catholic mom, and of course I'm a Catholic school administrator, and I do understand what we want to have in our Catholic schools and what doesn't fit in our Catholic schools, and this clearly did not fit.
I was led to believe that, this was kind of a big deal, and that, a letter of warning, something like that would happen. And I was like, okay, fair. I get it. Now that you've explained that this is this thing that is terrible and according to Catholic teaching.
The employee was put on administrative leave while the diocesan school investigated. In the meantime, the school sent an email to parents and guardians telling them to dispose of the crystals and advising them to say a prayer to St. Michael the Archangel to cleanse their homes. The diocese won't comment on what action was taken next, but the employee says she got a letter calling her error egregious and asking her to resign. You would admit to an error in judgment.
I would.
Right. But didn't believe that this should have led to your dismissal.
I don't. I think, one, because there was an opportunity for me to grow and develop as both a professional and as a Catholic. I think the term that we would look for here is pastoral care. There's been no evidence of pastoral care for me or my family.
I think we are pastoral. And I didn't say what the response was. I said she's no longer with us.
And while declining to discuss that action, the diocese says it was the students of the class that brought the matter to the school administration, and it wanted to make clear what is appropriate in a Catholic school and what is not. Reporting downtown, Andy Sheehan, KDKA News.
An Iranian couple in their 20s have been given jail sentences totaling 10 years after posting a video of themselves dancing in the street. They were reportedly convicted for promoting corruption, prostitution, and propaganda. The video showed them dancing by Tehran's Azadi Tower, Freedom Tower. The couple's arrest came after they posted the video to their Instagram accounts, which have a combined following of nearly 2 million. Astiaz Hakiki and her fiancé Amir Mohammed Ahmadi are said to be convicted of promoting corruption and prostitution, colluding against national security, and propaganda against the establishment. The family home of Ms. Hakiki, who lists her profession as a fashion designer, was raided just before their arrest. They've each been sentenced to a total of 10.5 years, a combined sentence for the charges. and according to reports, they were also handed a 2-year ban on using social media and leaving the country. See this video. A pastor in South Africa claims to be able to heal people of their spiritual and physical problems with his farts. Pastor Christ Penelope, yes, that's his name, of Sevenfold Holy Spirit Ministries in Sayandani Village, Limpopo, South Africa, has created a buzz online for his unorthodox method of healing people after a photo of him sitting on the heads of people, apparently farting on them, went viral. This week's Free Thought Hour, the show that follows this news, features South African Charles Webster, a one-time active evangelist who has turned atheist. You can join in by texting your comments and questions. It's live and it's free. And don't forget to watch Views on the News, our spin-off show where a panel of opinionated people get a chance to express their views on this very news. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news report next week. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set the notifications. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.